Good afternoon, everybody. And We are in the post-lunch session. So a bit of a kind of drowsiness might be there, but I'm sure that the session will be interesting and will, in fact, bring us back. The theme government perspectives on AI in India, um, although locked into a particular description, was conceived necessarily as an understanding of how the nation state or how a big country like India visualizes the understanding and implementation of AI in its programs and policies. We have industry and government experts who are going to address some of the issues. And the moderator for the afternoon session has already thrown some light on some of the basic initiatives that the Government of India has taken, along with some corresponding initiatives that many state governments have taken in this regard. One is the magnitude of the AI induction. Like all major interventions and policies which have technology and technological processes at the back end of their design and development, there's always a perception that whether it is going to be incorporated into the macroeconomic dimension of planning and implementation in any country. This is where probably both the industry leaders and advocacy groups will be working closely or advising the governments on how effectively they could use or apply AI. Within India, we have had many cycles of such induction. I did flag some of them in the morning, but whenever a major disruptive or a major intervention comes along, India has been in the forefront in terms of not only recognizing, but there's also always a back-end work that goes on in many of our educational institutions, particularly in this field, in the institutes of technology and information technology, etc., that are spread across the country. But is it just the push for AI that we are talking about a government initiative? Or what about the response to the consequences of AI? Although we can specifically talk about media, but I think media is a subsystem within other institutional frameworks. The theme of the conference, although focuses on media, we have to recognize, in fact, that all sectors are one way or the other affected by the policies and programs. So while we may have to look at what are the incentives or lack of it in the promotion and introduction of AI. Now, you might ask me a simple question, whether AI is indeed the messiah of our times. I would not go that far. If you look at any intelligent or smart network, the ultimate goal is whether it enhances the efficiency or delivers, the kind of products and services that the society wants. So fortunately, in this afternoon session, we have speakers who have a global perspective and who are also in the business of consulting with various governments. Some of them are in the process of consulting with Government of India, but some have already had experience in many other contexts. We also have, a lead scientist and an officer from Digital India, and I'm sure that many of us who are looking at Digital India initiatives may have recognized the importance and potential for AI. We are looking forward to that kind of a perspective. I also noticed that there are design and network architects in this panel. So, together, we do hope that there will be some kind of a framework that emerges as to how, for example, a large, diverse, and a plural country, to use the cliche, will contend with AI. Many state governments are also looking at what we call as ethical frameworks for use of AI. We in the academia are also seized with, initially, academia was, what should I say, very caustic about AI. What will happen to my students in the class? Will they, I mean, when Xerox came, we talked about the copy and paste culture. With AI, you don't even have to have a copy and a paste exercise. It can directly be transported into the learning management systems of your respective universities. These concerns are there. But what we have also realized is that rather than spending countless hours on describing and analyzing data, we could spend a lot more time in critically analyzing a data set for which integration systems like AI can be very useful. For example, I don't have to spend a lot of time in looking at the media and entertainment report. In half a second, all my students in class in one single go would have the summary and gist of it. So we spend more of time in talking about the analytical frameworks and what to do and how to go about it. Just one application of how academia has moved away from the initial framework of what will happen to the students and their intellectual output to more looking at it as an aid and mechanism in classes. These are some of the things that we in academia, of course, there's a complete session day after tomorrow where speakers are going to talk about it a little bit more detail. But this particular session, we are going to focus more on the initiatives, policy frameworks. Probably we'll also look at the consequences of some of the policies if they have already been initiated. On this expectant note, I would like, based on the speaker's request, I would call upon our first speaker, Ms. Rekha Acharya, who has already been introduced. Over to you, Rekha.
Speakers have given an excellent overview. Very little to summarize, except to state that the session brought a better understanding of the range of possibilities, potential. And I think the speakers also touched upon the nuances of its application, particularly in terms of interface with regard to the multiplicity of languages and what it could do. I think two speakers in different ways touched upon that. And the first speaker was kind of perceptive enough to talk about how consulting firms are looking at advising industries in terms of investment opportunities. And incidentally, she also touched upon many applications in the media sector by default. That's kind of a good takeaway for us in this particular session. So to that extent, I think the overall perspective has benefited. But the other thing important, particularly from communication education, which we often, there was this question that came up among many of my friends and colleagues. What is that? I mean, you're talking about AI and focus and theme. Why are you drifting away from the classical issues of media? But let us be very clear that in communication and research studies, today the kind of topics some of your students are working is nowhere situated in the traditional mold of media studies. They are talking about empowerment, they are talking about language felicity, they are talking about digital divide, they are talking about traders, they are talking about small scale workers. Even the whole world of social media is not just about communication, fake news, and disinformation, as many of us understand, but they are looking at many applications in sectors, in health sectors, for example, they are looking at it. They're looking at in education, they're looking at an online. So I think to look media and journalism education from the pure 50-year-old cycle of profession, challenges, ethics, I think we should be looking forward to some of the new potential. If somebody is saying that about 10 lakh 700 crores is being invested, definitely part of that investment is going to translate into jobs and opportunities in one way or the other. We only look at the money, but we don't look at the kind of consequences it has. To that extent, Upendra Pade was very encouraging when we discussed this topic, that this session has been quite beneficial, and I think we have a very proactive perspective coming from all the speakers this afternoon. I, on behalf of all of you, thank you very much, sir, for all your presentations and perspectives. It has benefited a lot, and we are the beneficiaries of your interventions and contributions. Thank you so much.